On a quiet evening, the sky above Earth changed suddenly. Bright lights flickered like stars falling from the sky. People everywhere looked up in wonder and fear. Little did they know this was not a natural event. A fleet of alien ships was descending toward Earth, their metallic surfaces gleaming in the fading light. The ships were enormous, far larger than any human-made vessel. They moved slowly but surely, casting shadows over cities. People in the streets stopped to stare, their faces filled with awe and dread. Children pointed at the sky while adults exchanged worried glances. News quickly spread through social media and television. Aliens are coming. In a massive control room far away, alien commanders watched Earth through their advanced technology. They were part of the Zarkon Empire, known for conquering many worlds. Their leader, Commander Varkon, stood tall, his alien features stern. "Prepare to make an example of this planet," he ordered. "They will learn the power of the Zarkon Empire." As the alien ships landed, they unleashed loud, intimidating sounds. The ground shook beneath them. People rushed to their homes, locking doors and windows. The aliens stepped out of their ships, tall and imposing, with strange, glowing weapons in their hands. Their skin shimmered under the lights of the city, a mix of colors that seemed unnatural. In a nearby town hall, leaders from various countries gathered. They watched the news on large screens, showing the alien ships and their menacing presence. Panic filled the room. "What can we do?" one leader shouted. "They are far more powerful than us." Another leader, a woman with determination in her eyes, stood up. "We cannot let fear control us. We must unite and fight back!" Her voice rang with hope, but the others looked doubtful. They knew their weapons were no match for the advanced technology of the aliens. Meanwhile, Commander Varkon addressed the people of Earth through their technology. "Humans!" he boomed, his voice echoing. "We come in peace, but do not mistake your weakness for strength. Surrender now, and you will be spared. Resist, and you will face destruction." The words sent chills through the hearts of many. Some believed the aliens could be reasoned with, but others felt a fire ignite within them. They could not allow their planet to fall into the hands of these invaders. As the message ended, fear turned to determination. In the hours that followed, people began to gather in small groups. They discussed strategies and plans to defend their homes. "We might not have their weapons, but we have our minds and hearts," one young man said passionately. "We will not go down without a fight." As night fell, a sense of unity spread across the world. People began to prepare, collecting supplies and forming plans. The quiet of the evening was replaced with the sound of determination. The human spirit shone brightly even in the face of fear. They were ready to fight back, ready to prove their worth. Back in the alien command center, Varkon and his team monitored the situation on Earth. "These humans are reacting with unexpected bravery," he said, his tone a mix of surprise and annoyance. "They think they can challenge us? We will show them their foolishness." As the aliens began to strategize their first attack, humans were busy preparing their defenses. A young woman, a teacher by day, found herself rallying her neighbors. "We need to show them what we are made of," she urged, her voice steady. "Let's gather everyone who can fight. We have to defend our home." With the sun setting, the streets were alive with a new energy. Groups of people moved swiftly, gathering weapons, food, and anything they could use in the fight. They knew the odds were against them, but hope ignited their spirits. The world was about to change, and humanity was ready to stand its ground. As the night wore on, the stars above twinkled brightly, unaware of the great battle that was to come. The aliens thought they could easily conquer this planet, but the heart of humanity was far stronger than they realized. The stage was set for an incredible showdown. Would humans rise to the challenge? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear: they would not go down without a fight. As dawn broke, a heavy silence hung over the cities of Earth. People waited in fear and uncertainty, knowing that the aliens had arrived with plans for conquest. The early morning sun shone down, but its warmth could not ease the tension in the air. Everyone felt the weight of what was about to come. In the command center of the alien fleet, Commander Varkon watched the Earth through screens filled with data. "Today we will show these humans our power," he declared, his voice cold and firm. He turned to his officers. "Prepare the ships for the first strike. Show them that resistance is futile." Meanwhile, in the streets, humans were gathering. Groups of neighbors, friends, and families united in their fear. They shared ideas on how to defend themselves. A young woman named Sarah stood at the front of her group, her face determined. "We need to stick together. We may not have their weapons, but we have each other. Let's make a plan!" The group nodded in agreement. They decided to set up barricades around their neighborhood using anything they could find: wooden pallets, furniture, and old tires. As they worked, they could hear distant rumblings that made their hearts race. The aliens were coming. Suddenly, dark shapes appeared in the sky. Alien ships soared above, their engines roaring. The sight sent shockwaves through the human crowd. Panic erupted as people realized the attack was beginning. "Get to cover!" shouted an older man, his voice trembling. "They're here!" The aliens unleashed a powerful barrage of laser blasts that lit up the sky. The first shots hit the ground with a deafening boom, causing dust and debris to fly everywhere. Buildings shook and windows shattered as chaos broke out. Screams filled the air as people ran for safety. In the midst of the panic, Sarah and her group stayed focused. They moved quickly, helping neighbors find shelter and directing everyone to a nearby underground parking garage. "We need to stay safe until we know what to do next," she urged. Outside, the aliens landed, stepping out of their ships with a sense of superiority. They were armored in shiny suits that reflected the sunlight, and their glowing weapons looked terrifying. The aliens began to move through the streets, firing indiscriminately at anything that moved. They laughed, thinking humans were nothing but easy prey. But in the shadows, some brave humans were ready to fight back. A group of men and women armed with makeshift weapons, bats, pipes, and even kitchen knives, formed a resistance. They took their positions, ready to defend their home. "Now is our chance!" one young man shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. As the aliens approached, the humans launched their surprise attack. They ambushed the alien soldiers, catching them off guard. The aliens were shocked as humans fought with everything they had. For every alien that fell, the humans felt a rush of hope. But the alien technology was overwhelming. Their lasers shot through the air with precision, taking down anyone who got too close. "We can't let them see us!" Sarah cried. "We need to use the buildings for cover." The humans scattered, hiding behind cars and walls. They quickly learned that they could not fight the aliens in the open. Instead, they began to use the terrain to their advantage. They moved silently, planning ambushes and using the element of surprise. While the aliens focused on the chaos in the streets, a small team of humans managed to sneak into an alien ship that had landed nearby. They found strange weapons inside and quickly grabbed what they could. "These could turn the tide!" one woman exclaimed, holding up a laser gun. Back on the streets, the fight raged on. The humans were outnumbered, but their spirit remained unbroken. They fought with fierce determination, using their knowledge of the city to outsmart their alien foes. Slowly, they began to see that they could stand up to the invaders. The battle continued for hours, and by midday, the sun was high in the sky, shining down on the wreckage of the city. Both sides were exhausted, but neither was willing to give in. The aliens had come expecting an easy victory, but they were learning that humans were not so easily defeated. As the dust settled, the aliens regrouped, confused and frustrated. "These humans are tougher than we thought," Varkon said, grinding his teeth in anger. "We must show them who truly holds power." Meanwhile, Sarah and her group huddled together, breathing heavily. They had survived their first encounter with the aliens, and it gave them hope. "We can do this," she whispered, determination in her eyes. "We will not let them take our home." The battle had only just begun, but humanity had proven that it would not back down without a fight. The aliens may have had advanced weapons, but the strength of the human spirit shone brighter than any laser blast. The stage was set for an incredible struggle, one that would determine the fate of the planet. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a bright light on the chaos below. The streets were filled with smoke and debris from the fierce battle between humans and the invading aliens. Both sides were tired but determined to win. The humans, now aware of the stakes, were ready to fight back with everything they had. Inside the underground parking garage, Sarah and her group gathered to plan their next move. They had survived the first attack, but they knew the aliens would strike again. "We can't keep hiding," Sarah said, her voice steady but urgent. "We need a plan to take the fight to them. If we can take out their command center, it will weaken their forces." The group nodded, inspired by her words. They started brainstorming ideas. "We have to be smart," said Mike, one of the fighters. "We know the city better than they do. Let's use that to our advantage." After a few minutes of discussion, they agreed on a plan. They would split into smaller teams to create distractions, drawing the aliens' attention away from their main goal. This would give Sarah and a few others the chance to sneak into the alien command center and sabotage their operations. As the teams prepared, the sounds of battle echoed outside. The alien ships buzzed through the sky and the aliens roamed the streets, searching for more humans to capture. The air was thick with tension, but the humans felt a new sense of hope. They knew they were fighting for their homes and families. With a final nod of encouragement, Sarah and her team set out. They moved quietly through the back alleys, staying out of sight. They could see the aliens in the distance, focusing on a group of humans trying to create a diversion. The distraction worked perfectly, drawing the aliens' attention away. While the aliens rushed toward the noise, Sarah and her group slipped into the alien command center, which was located inside one of the downed ships. The interior was sleek and metallic, filled with strange devices that pulsed with light. Sarah felt a mix of fear and excitement as they moved deeper inside. "Look for anything we can use to shut them down," she whispered to her team. "We need to be quick!" As they searched the ship, they stumbled upon a control room filled with screens showing different parts of the city.
"This is it!"
one of the team members exclaimed. "If we can take out their communication system, they won't be able to coordinate their attacks." They quickly got to work, using the knowledge they had gathered from their earlier encounter. With makeshift tools, they started cutting wires and disconnecting systems. The alarms began to sound, signaling that they had triggered something in the ship. "Hurry!" Sarah shouted, her heart racing. Back outside, the distraction teams were fighting hard. They were drawing fire from the aliens, but they had expected this. They used smoke bombs and loud noises to confuse their enemies. The humans fought bravely, but they knew they had to hold out until Sarah's team could finish their mission. Inside the command center, Sarah and her team worked faster. They could hear the footsteps of aliens approaching, and the pressure was mounting.
"We're almost there!"
Sarah said, focusing on the main control panel. "Just a few more seconds." Finally, with one last push, they disconnected a key wire. The screens flickered and went dark. Outside, the aliens began to panic as their communication systems failed. "What is happening?" Varkon shouted, watching the chaos unfold from a nearby ship. "Get those humans under control!" But it was too late. The humans outside seized the moment. With the aliens confused and disorganized, they launched a counterattack. They fought with renewed strength, inspired by Sarah's team's success. One of the fighters, a young man named Jason, rallied his fellow humans. "Now is our chance. Let's show them we won't back down." With a loud roar, they charged at the aliens, pushing them back. The tide of the battle began to turn. The aliens struggled to regain control. Their advanced technology was useless without communication. The humans used their knowledge of the city to create clever traps and ambushes, catching the aliens off guard. Every victory sparked hope and courage in the hearts of those fighting. As the battle raged on, Sarah's team made their way back outside, joining their friends in the fight. They felt a sense of pride knowing they had turned the battle in their favor. "We did it!" Sarah exclaimed, breathless but filled with determination. "We showed them what humans can do." The aliens, realizing they were losing ground, began to retreat. Varkon watched in disbelief as his forces fell apart. "We will regroup!" he shouted angrily. "This is not over!" But for the humans, it felt like a turning point. They had faced the impossible and emerged stronger. The strength of their unity and courage shone bright against the darkness of despair. The battle was far from over, but they had proven that they could stand against the might of the Zarkon Empire. With hope in their hearts and determination in their souls, the humans prepared for the challenges ahead. They were ready to fight for their planet, and they would not let fear dictate their future. Together, they would defend their home no matter the cost. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of burnt metal, remnants of the fierce fight between humans and the alien invaders. The humans had regained their strength, but they knew that the real battle was still ahead. Commander Varkon and his forces were regrouping, preparing for one last push to conquer Earth. Inside the makeshift command center, Sarah and her team were busy planning their final strategy. "We need to end this tonight," Sarah said, her eyes fierce with determination. "If we give them a chance to regroup, they will come back stronger." The others nodded, sensing the urgency in her voice. They discussed how to draw Varkon out and force a final confrontation. "We know where their main ship is," Mike suggested. If we can take it down, we can defeat them once and for all. Everyone agreed that this was the best plan. As darkness fell, the humans prepared for their most daring operation yet. They gathered whatever weapons and tools they could find, makeshift explosives, old firearms, and anything that could be used to fight. The group felt a mix of fear and excitement, knowing they were about to take the fight directly to the heart of the alien force. Meanwhile, Varkon stood in his ship, watching the humans from a distance. "These creatures think they can challenge us," he sneered, his confidence unwavering. "We will show them our true power." He ordered his troops to prepare for battle, reinforcing their defenses and readying their advanced weapons. Varkon believed victory was still within his grasp. As the humans advanced towards the alien ship, Sarah took the lead. "Stay quiet and move quickly. We can't let them know we're coming," she whispered. The group moved through the shadows, sticking to the alleys and buildings. They reached the alien command ship, a massive structure that loomed ominously in the night. Using the cover of darkness, the humans positioned themselves around the ship. Sarah's heart raced as she prepared for the final assault. "On my signal," she said, raising her hand.
We attack!
With a deep breath, she lowered her hand. "Now!" she shouted, and the group sprang into action. They threw explosives, sending them flying towards the ship. The blasts shook the ground, and alarms began to sound. The aliens were caught off guard, rushing to defend their command center. "Let's go!" Sarah yelled, leading her team toward the ship. They fought bravely, pushing past alien soldiers who were scrambling to react. The humans were relentless, their spirits high after their previous victories. Each step they took brought them closer to victory. As they fought their way inside, Sarah spotted Varkon. He was surrounded by his elite guards, and the humans knew they had to confront him.
We can't let him escape!
She shouted, rallying her team. Varkon sneered as he saw the humans charging towards him. "You think you can defeat me? You are nothing but insects!" he roared, raising his weapon. But Sarah and her team were ready. They fought with everything they had, dodging alien blasts and using their environment to their advantage. The battle was fierce, but the humans had the element of surprise and the determination to protect their home. In the midst of the chaos, Sarah found herself face to face with Varkon. He was larger than she expected, with a menacing presence.
"You dare challenge me?"
he growled, raising his weapon.
"I dare to protect my planet!"
Sarah shouted back, charging at him. The two clashed, weapons sparking as they fought. Sarah's heart pounded as she realized the weight of the battle was resting on her shoulders. Meanwhile, her team continued to fight the alien guards, pushing them back and creating openings for Sarah. They worked together, covering each other and using their makeshift weapons to keep the aliens at bay. Just as Varkon gained the upper hand, Sarah remembered the alien technology she had seen earlier. She ducked low and managed to grab a weapon from the fallen alien soldiers. With a quick motion, she turned it on Varkon, catching him off guard. The blast sent him stumbling back, and she seized the opportunity to strike. With one final powerful swing, she knocked his weapon from his hands. Varkon fell to the ground, stunned. The humans erupted in cheers as they saw their leader triumph. "Now, let's finish this," Sarah shouted, rallying her team. They surrounded Varkon, who was still trying to regain his composure. But the alien commander realized the fight was lost. "You may have won today, but this is not over," he hissed, retreating deeper into the ship. Determined not to let him escape, Sarah and her team pressed forward, finally cornering him. With a fierce determination, they struck as one. Varkon fell, and with him the hope of the alien invaders. As the battle quieted, the humans stood together, breathing heavily but filled with pride. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious. They had proven that the spirit of humanity could not be extinguished.
"We did it!"
Sarah exclaimed, tears of joy in her eyes. They had fought for their home, and now they were free. The humans gathered together, knowing that they had turned the tide in their favor and that they would protect Earth against any future threats. The final showdown had been won, but their story was far from over. Together, they had forged a new future, one of hope and strength. The sun rose over the battered city, casting a golden light on the ruins left by the fierce battle. Sarah stood on a rooftop, taking in the scene below. The streets were quiet now, the echoes of the final showdown still fresh in her mind. The humans had fought bravely and won, but the cost was high. Many had lost their lives, and the city bore the scars of war. As she looked out, Sarah felt a mix of emotions. Joy for their victory, but also sadness for those they had lost. She thought of her friends who had fought beside her, of the sacrifices they had made. It was hard to believe they had faced such a powerful enemy and come out on top. The city was slowly starting to recover. People were cleaning the streets, clearing debris, and rebuilding what they could. A sense of hope filled the air as survivors worked together to create a new future. Sarah knew it would take time, but the spirit of humanity was strong. They would not be defeated by the darkness they had faced. In the days that followed, a meeting was called in the city square. Survivors from all over gathered to discuss the future. Sarah stood among them, her heart swelling with pride. "We did not just fight for ourselves," she began, her voice steady and strong. "We fought for each other. We fought for our families, our friends, and our planet. Together, we can rebuild what was lost." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Sarah felt the energy in the air. It was a moment of unity, a moment where everyone remembered they were not alone. They had faced an unimaginable threat, and together, they had overcome it. As the crowd settled down, an older man stepped forward. He was the mayor, and his face was lined with worry. "We must learn from this," he said, looking at the gathered crowd. "We were caught off guard, and we cannot let that happen again. We need to strengthen our defenses and prepare for the future." Sarah nodded in agreement. "We must come together as a community. We can't just wait for another attack. We need to build a network of support, a way to keep each other safe." The crowd murmured in agreement, understanding the importance of her words. With newfound determination, the humans began to organize. They set up watch groups, built barricades, and trained together to ensure they were prepared for whatever came next. They pooled their resources, sharing food, tools, and skills. The spirit of cooperation filled the air, and hope began to flourish once more. As weeks passed, the city transformed. The ruins of war were replaced with signs of life. Children played in the streets, laughter echoing through the once silent buildings. The humans rebuilt their homes and lives, determined to honor those who had fallen by living fully. Sarah often found herself at the center of these efforts. She organized training sessions, teaching others how to use the weapons they had scavenged. She shared stories of bravery, reminding everyone that they were stronger together. "We must always remember what we are capable of," she would tell them. "Our strength lies not only in our weapons, but in our unity." One day, while training a group of volunteers, Sarah spotted Mike watching from a distance. He approached her, a serious look on his face. "I've been thinking," he said, running a hand through his hair. "What if we could reach out to other survivors in different cities? Maybe there are others like us who need help?" Sarah's eyes lit up at the idea. "That's brilliant. If we connect with others, we can build a stronger community. We can share knowledge, resources, and strategies to protect ourselves." They began making plans to reach out, organizing communication networks to connect with other survivors. As they sent messages to nearby cities, hope spread. People responded, sharing their experiences and ideas. Soon, a network of survivors was forming, ready to stand together against any future threats. Months passed, and as the city began to flourish again, Sarah reflected on how far they had come. The memories of battle were still vivid, but they were now overshadowed by the resilience and strength of the human spirit. The humans had not only survived, they had thrived, building a new life from the ashes of war. One evening, as Sarah stood on that same rooftop, she gazed at the sunset. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, a beautiful contrast to the struggles they had faced. She felt a sense of peace wash over her. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, united in their fight for survival. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would stand together, no matter what challenges lay ahead. With hope in their hearts and courage in their souls, they would build a brighter tomorrow. This was just the beginning, a new chapter for the human race. Together, they would face anything that came their way, ready to defend their home and each other.